So my kitchen floor is in rough shape and it needs to be replaced. So my thoughts, I love a DIY. I'm just going to run to the local hardware store. I'm going to get some flooring and I'm going to install it. So in chatting with my wife, she said, no, let's just hire someone. You take forever and you never finish the job. I'm thinking, no, I'm absolutely going to do this. So we came to a compromise and we decided to hire someone. So what I did is I actually went to Lowe's. That's the local hardware store near me. I checked out their flooring options and, well, I hired them in a sense to put in my kitchen floor. Now, that being said, Lowe's itself doesn't do it. They subcontract with another company. I think it's called Service Pros, at least in my area. And this video is actually going to be my walkthrough of that entire process. Now, this is not a true DIY, but there are elements of the installation of the floor in this video. So if you're going to do it yourself, they at least show you the proper way to do it. Let's get started. This is Jeff with Jeff Reviews for You. My channel is dedicated to reviewing mostly as seen on TV items. I look at some consumer gadgets, other household items. Once in a while, I do a little bit of a DIY just because I like to. If that interests you, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel and click the bell below. That way, you're notified every time I release a video just like this one. One more thing, don't forget to check down the description for my social media, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I would love it if you would follow me there too. This is the peel and stick tile that is on the kitchen floor. And to be honest with you, a lot of it's just been popping up over time. You can see that the plywood is just right there. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking a metal trowel like this and just popping up the rest of them and just actually going to throw them away in preparation for the installers to come. So I'm going to work on that right now. In just a matter of minutes, I was able to chip up all the tiles. There were a few that gave me some trouble, just a little extra pressure with the scraper, and they popped up. I should say that after I filmed the last video, I did put a pair of gloves on just so I wouldn't scrape my hand against the floor. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take up the tile in the rest of the kitchen, and then I'll bring you back when that's all finished. All right, so I've just about finished taking up all the tile in the kitchen. My next step is actually to move this center island. Now it's not bolted down, it's just really gravity held, but there is an outlet in that side, so I'm gonna have to take the wiring out, move it out of here, and then I'll take that last of the floor up. But all the other floor in here is pretty much taken up and ready. Here we are at Lowe's. It's time to pick out the new flooring for our kitchen. Let's go on in. If you're down here in the aisle, you have a higher end here towards the beginning. As we make our way down, the prices get a little less. And then at the other end, they're the cheapest. I'm going to stick right here in the middle. And I kind of like the smoky gray one right here. It looks old farmhouse to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to schedule my appointment for them to come measure my house. All the little peel and stick tiles are gone. And the center island that used to be right here has also been removed. I have a few of the planks here on the floor. It's like a vinyl snap together piece. One side, it has this look of like a wood floor. The other side is this foam padding. It's all plastic or an engineered material, so there is no rot, but that's what it looks like. I like that it's gonna look sort of like an old wood floor, but still be resistant to moisture. So, tell me, what do you think of this installation so far? Have you ever hired a hardware store to install your flooring? Let me know down in the comment section below. I would love to hear from you. Put some tape down so the leveling doesn't leak through the plywood. Pouring out the compound for some heavy leveling, as they say, and smoothing it out. We've had fans blowing on this for the last 2 hours, so it's starting now to look like the point where it's drying, and we can put the underlayment down and then have the floor installed. After you're prepped and ready, you start unrolling the plastic. Now, the plastic serves as a moisture barrier. The installers were telling me you need this to prevent any moisture getting on the floor, or I guess even under the floor. So this just goes between the floor and the subfloor. And then you can start putting in your first piece. You notice those red pieces? Those are actually spacers. Those are needed so the floor can actually move when it gets hot or cold or whatnot. And then once you get your first row in, you can start going and just putting in the pieces. This crew was very efficient. They move very quickly. Notice that little black piece that he has in his hand. That's actually a tool to prevent damage to the edges, so you can just tap it in. I wanted to show you though what he does. He slices right down, he picks up the piece, just snaps the piece. Sometimes he trims it off if needs be. Other times he just puts it in, but it moves very, very quickly. I was talking to him and he said anyone can do this as long as they just take their time and you have the right equipment. Here's just putting in another piece. He slides it down, he pushes it in, he grabs his tapping tool, and then he starts tapping it in, making sure it's all snug before moving on to the next piece. Here we're just showing you a little bit of the progress that's been made. You notice that they went underneath the stove, and that actually took the longest time, about 30 minutes, and just because there's some intricate cuts in there, but they did a really good job. You can see here that they're installing this in like a staggered step formation. One of the guys here is cutting, the other one's installing, so they're working in tandem as a team. And then of course they are installing some quarter round, as you can see, moving through there. This, of course, brings us to our final product. You can see they definitely paid attention to detail. They wrapped around the room nicely. You can see the quarter round, how they even wrapped around the post and down the wall. It just looks really clean. As we look into the room, you can see it goes from wall to wall. They did put the appliances back in place. And of course, there's additional quarter round that you can see and the transition strips. In my order, they actually over budgeted me 2 boxes. So my choices are to keep those and maybe go into another room or to return them. I have an adjoining bathroom that I'll be using those, but the choice is up to you. Well, you can't talk about installation and hiring Lowe's and service pros to put in a floor and not talk about price, right? I should say that my entire square footage that was installed was about 330 square feet. And that's the hallway, that's the kitchen, there was a closet. And so mine was about 330 square feet. The material cost was just around $900. And so when you look at their product, they have some lower end, some higher end, and I went right for the middle, and I actually like the product because I've used it before. Installation for me was about $1,200. Now that's higher than typical, and the reason mine was higher is because of that leveling, or heavy leveling as they called it, and it was an additional $300 for them to pour the cement and smooth it out. So if you take my installation and you take my product, I'm right around $2,100 for install, out the door, done. Just wanted you to know that. This is Jeff with Jeff Reviews for You. As always, thanks for stopping by, and I hope you have a great day. I was completely fascinated by this tool. It's just like a giant pair of scissors that's used to cut the quarter round on an angle, so check this out. Instead of using a saw, all they do is put it in there, quick snip, and you have your 45-degree angle. I really do appreciate that you stayed around for my entire review where I hired Lowe's and Service Pro to install my kitchen floor. I should say, from the first time I started having a conversation with Lowe's until it was installed, it was about a 3-week period, so I'm really appreciative that they were able to fit me in that timeline. I'm not sure if that's typical. I was just really appreciative of it. You know what? If you end up doing this kind of a project yourself, you're going to need something to tack in your quarter round. And for that, I'm going to send you to a review I did of this awesome tool. This is a tool by Works, and it's their brad nailer. It's actually called their Nail Force. What I'm going to do is I'm going to link up my review of that product right up here, and I would love it if you would click on this link. And when you do, by the magic of the internet, I'm going to join you at that review. So go ahead, click it. It's safe. I promise.